We'll call the meeting to order. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner Blower.
Here.
Commissioner Jewell.
Here.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins.
Here.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Here.
Commissioner Jordan.
Here.
Commissioner Wesley.
Here, we have a quorum. Casey, wasn't Commissioner Ryan on? Or he
Yeah,
wasn't?
that's the only person we're missing. I'm sorry.
That's the only
Not
person
all
we're
our
missing?
commissioners. Just me.
Okay. Just one that he have, I know he always have trouble unmuting his phone.
Yeah, he's definitely not on.
We'll have the announcement by the Assistant City Attorney about the Open Meetings Act.
Good evening, everyone. All boards and commissions must adhere to all laws.
Commissioner Gurley, I mean,
Yes,
Attorney Gurley,
yes,
You're-
sir.
your voice is real light. I can barely hear you. I don't know about the other commissioners. I can barely hear you.
Okay, is this better?
Yes,
Somewhat?
ma'am.
You might
Okay,
want to put another pump in it.
Okay. Okay. All boards and commissions must adhere to all laws established under the Michigan compiled laws and in accordance with the revisions of the Open Meetings Act adopted in Senate Bill 1108 as passed on October 13th, 2020, and signed into law on October 16th, 2020. A public announcement shall be made by each member who is attending the meeting remotely that he or she is attending the meeting remotely, and except for those in military service, stating his or her physical location.
Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Campbell.
Commissioner Campbell appearing remotely in the city of my residence.
Commissioner Blower.
Commissioner Blower attending from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jewell.
This is Commissioner Jewell attending remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins.
This is Commissioner Cook Hawkins attending remotely from my residence here in Flint.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Commissioner Sorensen appearing remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jordan.
Commissioner Jordan attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Wesley.
Commissioner Wesley attending remotely from my residence, Flint, Michigan. Next item on the agenda, the adoption. Or are there any additional changes to the agenda? Sorry. Are there any additional changes to our agenda? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Commissioner Campbell, so move.
A second.
Commissioner Blower support.
It's moved and properly moved and supported that the agenda be approved. Minutes of our previous meeting, July 27, 2021. Are there any additions, corrections, or changes to
Mr. Chair, this is
our
Commissioner.
minutes of July? Go ahead,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair.
Jewell.
Yes, two brief items. If you go to the bottom of page 9, where it starts SPR 21-951, and if you go through and it says 341 Western, it should be Western. It should be Western. And then the second item, Mr. Chair, is on page 11. And if you go to the section where it says PC 21-412, Yin Yang requests marijuana facilities location. And if you go to the second line, it says micro business in the legal ad. Commissioner Jewell referenced PC 21- and it should be 412, not 413. It should be 412, stating that the legal ad was incomplete, not complete, but incomplete, INCOMPLETE, incomplete. And then if you go all the way down to the final line where it says requesting a Group G micro business, Chairman Wesley stated that PC 21- and that again should be 412, not 413, 412.
Okay.
Those are the two items that I had.
Mr. Wesley, I have a couple corrections as well. One is on page 10 of 12, similarly to the first one that Commissioner Jewell raised, it's missing the N on Western Road in the final paragraph there. Second line of that final paragraph should be review at 3415 Western Road with the N on it. And then I also had a correction on page 7. The second full paragraph starting Commissioner Jordan asked, and that second line of that paragraph needs to be modified. Currently, it says Commissioner Jordan asked Attorney Gurley if the grandfather status of a medical marijuana facility allows for an automatic variance to the current incompatible zoning. That should read, after variance, it needs to be inserted. Each of the 3 locational considerations, colon, and then so eliminating that next word of 2, it should be colon, the current incompatible zoning, the insert inconsistency with the future land use, and then continuing on. So again, it should read, Commissioner Jordan asked Attorney Gurley if the grandfather status of a medical marijuana facility allows for an automatic variance in each of the 3 locational considerations, colon, the current incompatible zoning, the inconsistency with future land use, and the residential 300-foot buffer.
Okay, I'm getting, okay, got it, I think. Are there any other?
Mr. Chair, the Western Road error is also on page 1, last line.
Yes.
You need a correction.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections? Any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes with all the necessary corrections that were made.
This is Commissioner Jewell. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with corrections as noted.
Commissioner Campbell, agree, or second. I'm sorry.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Roll for the approval of the minutes.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes,
Commissioner Blower,
Abstain due to absence.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, with corrections as noted.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
I abstain due to absence as well.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes, due to presence.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. The minutes have been approved. Next item on our agenda is a public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If there's anyone in the public wishing to address this commission, you can do so at this time. If you're addressing commission on PC 21413 and PC 21412, I will address those questions at the time of the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public wishing to address the commission?
Hi, good evening. I'd like to address the commission this evening. My name is Ashley Andrews, and I am representing MIC Limited on Dort Highway, and I am addressing the board regarding PC 21412 regarding variance for 300-foot buffer for a residential zone. My question is relating to this property with a micro business that allows the applicant to actually distribute from the location and reading. Go ahead.
Okay, let me, before you get started, let me first get your name again. And when I call, you said PC 21412?
Correct.
Okay. I will call that on the public hearing and allow you to make those comments at that time. Okay?
Perfect.
All right. Is there anyone else wishing to address the commission? Anyone else wishing to address the commission? To the zoning administrator. PC 21415. Has to be some re-notification on that one. Would you like to address that issue now? Mr. Vandercook?
Looks like we lost Val. One second.
Casey, did Bill run away?
He accidentally got dropped. I'm getting him back in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can't drop him.
Oh, we have a number ending in 045 and 899. We have a number ending in 899. If I could get your name, please. Okay. Sorry, just need one more minute.
Casey, is Bill still dropped?
Yeah, I'm actually getting him in. Just need one more minute.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, did you say 21-415?
Yes.
So this one is not listed on our agenda,
No,
is
it's
it?
not on your agenda.
Okay, thank you.
That's why we're waiting on Mr. Vandercook.
Okay.
Commissioner Jordan, are you sitting outside?
I sure
It
am.
looks warm. Aren't you warm? Oh, you got a cooling fan
Pleasantly
going on.
toasty. I'm savoring the summer.
Oh, well, we know, it won't be long. Fall will be here and winter will be here, and then we'll be asking for these warm days again.
That's right. Well, today was a day in the office, so I didn't get my
Yeah.
sunshine quota. I'm making up for it now.
Ah, getting that vitamin D in there. You know, I might have to find Bill another
Oh, Bill
spot
is
to come
actually
into.
calling in.
Beg pardon?
So he's calling in right now. Yep.
KZ,
Yep.
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry about that. Couldn't get in through the computer and the phone shut down on me, so I'm not sure what my wireless must have went out here. I didn't hear the question, Commissioner Wesley. Yeah.
I wondered, did you want to address PC 21415?
Yep. So PC 21415 was published and mailed out inaccurately, inconsistently. So the legal ad was different from the mailing as far as the PC, the case number. So we will have to republish that as a legal ad and send out the mailers. And then that will be put on the first meeting in September. So that'll be.
And I think that was September the 14th?
14th. That's correct. September 14th.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Are there any other one in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone else in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone else in the public wishing to address the commission? KZ, is there anyone else on the line?
There is no one else.
Okay. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. First item on our agenda for the public hearing is PC 21413 Green Skies Healing Tree LLC request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility, which integrates a blight elimination plan exemption, City of Flint Marijuana Ordinance 183U, parens 2 at 3401 Corona Road, PID 40 23 101 010. Continuation from the July 27th meeting. On August 5th, the attorney requested an extension from August 10th to August 24th. So therefore, continuation of this public hearing will be on August 24, 2021. Okay. Next item is PC 21412, Jin Yang requests a marijuana facility location variance from 300 feet from a residential zone at 2320 South Dort Highway, PID 41 20 226 017. This was postponed at our July 27th meeting till August 24th. Now, I understand this will be on August 24th, but we have a call on the line which wish to make a comment. I will listen to that comment at this time and make note, so it will be sure to be taken into consideration at our public hearing on August 24, 2021. Is the caller still online?
Good evening, Commissioner. I am still on the line.
Okay, go ahead.
I am referring to this property back in 2019 at location 2401. We attempted to apply with City of Flint. At that time, there was more than 4 Group A and Group E uses within 2,000 feet of each other. With this being a micro business and distribution, does that also fall under that category so that there would be multiple variances at that then applied to this parcel if that aggregates more than 4 Group A and Group E uses for distribution of marijuana?
Okay, we will take that question in consideration. Did I hear someone else trying to say something? Was one of the commissioners trying to make a comment? No. Mr. Vandercook? Did you hear the caller's question? Or do I need her to repeat it?
Could you repeat the question one more time, Commissioner Wesley? Thank you.
Okay, to the caller, would you repeat your question again?
Sure. Regarding this location, this is a variance for a 300-foot residential buffer, but considering that there are more than 4 Group A, Group E within 2,000 feet, according to the ordinance, and this being a distribution center as a micro business, that would then agitate the more than 4 allowed groups within that zone. I would make recommendation that the board considers this information so there would be multiple variances for this location.
Commissioner Wesley, I think I understand the question. Group Bs require 4, can only require 4 group adult use facilities within 2,000 feet. A micro business doesn't fall within that category under the city ordinance, but we can clarify that, Commissioner Wesley, for at the meeting.
Okay.
On August 24th.
All right. Okay, is that the only question you have to the caller?
That is it.
Okay, thank you. And just for your information, this will be called again on August 24, 2021, if you would like to make a note of that.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Okay, there's no other public hearings. Next, we have site plan reviews.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Commissioner Campbell. Can you tell me what is the name of 21-415? I don't see that anywhere. What is the name of that particular business? I don't have anything.
Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill Vandercook.
Yeah.
It's gonna be for, yes, Commissioner Wesley, PC 21-415 is gonna be for Jeffrey Van Camp, and that's for a rezoning request that would be heard at the September 14th Planning Commission meeting, a rezoning request from D3 to a E usage at 922 South Center Road in Flint.
And that's from a D3 to a F?
No, to a E.
To an E. Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Site plan reviews. There are none.
That's correct, Commissioner Wesley.
Wait, that's correct? That what you're saying, Mr. Vandercook? Right.
That's correct.
Okay. Case reviews, SPR 20941, Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village is requesting a site plan review at 4119 North Saginaw Street. Mr. Vandercook, are you taking these or is Corey taking these?
Yeah, I'll take these, Commissioner Wesley. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, regarding SPR 20941, Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village, we're still working on a lighting agreement with them, and I don't have a revised site plan with the conditions required by the Planning Commission. Regarding PC 21945, Communities First, we do have a revised site plan. It was submitted approximately 3 days ago. It's being reviewed now by our fire department to make sure that it met the conditions and requirements of the fire department as requested by the Planning Commission. Regarding SPR 21946, Secure Can requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Door.
Mr. Vandercook, could you slow down a bit for me?
Yes, I apologize.
So could you just go back to SPR 21-945? I caught the part about the fire department.
Well, the fire department was reviewing the commission's request to assure that there was proper ingress and egress for the fire trucks. So
Okay.
they're reviewing the site plan at this time
Thank you.
to make sure that it's compliant. SPR 21946 Secure Can requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway. The engineer has provided comments to Secure Can Inc. Secure Can Inc. is now making requested changes. The holdup was Eagle had changed requirements, engineering requirements and standards. So our engineer couldn't give comments to Secure Can. That's taken place, and I expect to see a site plan back now from Secure Can. SPR 21951, Jay Goldstein. Commissioner Wesley came in August the 3rd, Tuesday, August the 3rd. The applicant met the conditions, and that was a fire hydrant, additional fire hydrant, and to assure there was ingress and egress for fire trucks around the building, met the conditions. Commissioner Wesley signed off on the plans. So that can come off of case reviews for next meeting, I'm sorry. SPR 21950, Salino Canna LLC requesting a site plan review at 2010 North Dort Highway, PID 4104352031. Commissioner Wesley requested continuation for discussion from the July 22nd meeting, and that Salino Canna be put under case reviews for this meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
Okay, on SPR 21950 Secure Can, we had a date, I think, for that one set for August 24th. We'll be coming back before the commission as a public hearing. That's still in discussion with the city attorney and the applicant. Is that correct, Mr.? And so that August 24th date is what we have right now for that to come back before the commission for a public hearing.
That's
Did
correct,
I-
Commissioner Wesley.
Is that correct? Okay. To the commissioners, any
Chair?
questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So is it coming back as it was presented to us as the site plan. Is it coming back as a public hearing regarding status of acceptability?
Yeah, there's a discussion going on right now with the city attorney and the applicant's attorney,
Okay,
along with the assessor's office, as I understand it, before this matter comes back before us
okay.
on August the 24th.
Then I'll just wait till later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the commissioners have on case reviews? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to reports. Status of the permanent marijuana ordinance. Assistant City Attorney Gurley.
Hi, Commissioners. This is Joanne Gurley. So I've spoken to the city attorney, and what we're trying to do is to start getting the next set of zoning ordinance articles on the September 13th City Council Committee meeting. So
Mr.
we'll do.
This is Commissioner Jewell. It's my understanding, and we've gone through this before, this is on the status of the permanent marijuana ordinance, not the draft zoning ordinance. Is that correct?
It's permanent.
I always do them together. I apologize, Commissioner Jewell. So as far as the permanent marijuana ordinance, the city attorney and I have reviewed portions of it. And at this point, we are going to go through each of the provisions because there were several errors that we found. And we will have to get that also before the committee of city council. And so for us, we're trying to get as many things on the September 13th committee meeting so that we can move forward. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, just to clarify, I'm not familiar when you're making reference to September 13th. What is that in reference to?
That's the next committee meeting for city council that we would be able to get on. The next one that's in August, we won't be prepared to have these
Okay,
errors. Yeah.
so the September 13th meeting is which committee for city council?
The city council is, I don't believe it's the legislative meeting, so it is a regular committee meeting.
I'm confused. There are different committees within the council, and then the council meets as a whole.
Correct. So there are several committees. So there's a legislative committee, there's a governmental affairs committee, there's a grants committee.
I understand
there's the
that,
Okay.
Attorney Gurley. I'm trying to get a sense is when you're making reference to September the 13th, what entity are you going to meet with? Is it the city council meeting? Is it the committee as the whole before city council? Is it a particular committee meeting?
It is, well, you probably already know this, so I apologize if I'm being redundant. There are usually 4 different committees that meet on the same day. My understanding is that this item would either go before the legislative committee or the I guess what you would call a committee of the whole for city council. But they all meet on September the 13th.
Okay, well, that helps me to get a better sense of it. Okay. Now, the other part is, since we're talking about corrections in the previous permanent marijuana ordinance, what are those specifics that are being presented for correction?
Well, we noticed that for certain regulated uses, there is a direct conflict as to whether they can be in a D2, D3, and D4. Later in the same ordinance, it says that those are allowed. So those have to be reconciled so that the conflict no longer exists. There's also a mapping error with a property, I believe, on Court Street. It's zoned as a M1. I think it's supposed to be an M as in Mary 2. So that also has to be corrected.
So are those the two major areas?
That is what we have discovered thus far.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Jordan, and I have a question as well to Attorney Gurley. I know that in preparing some of the materials ahead of this evening, we had a chance to talk a little bit, and there were a couple of other things, and I don't know if they just haven't risen to the level that you would consider significant, but it seemed that there were a few areas within the community benefit exemptions where there were some wording challenges that it didn't read clearly. So as you're going through and identifying these changes that need to be taken before council to correct the marijuana ordinance, are those sorts of errors also being reconciled at the same time?
Yes, our hope is to have everything at one time so that we don't have to go back again.
Okay, and I think that that there had also been a question about the way that the ordinance appears to have been passed by council, that they have the final say on the approval of special regulated uses, and then there was some conversation about whether that had actually been intended or not. So is that also a dynamic that is being looked at?
Yes, we have not explored all of that yet, but that is on the list as to whether or not the Planning Commission makes a recommendation for the issuing of licenses for marijuana, and then City Council makes the final approval. So that's how the ordinance reads. We have to make sure that that's what the intent was.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Attorney Gurley.
Any other questions
You're
for,
welcome.
for the Assistant Attorney Gurley? Any other questions? Thank you,
Chairman Wesley,
Attorney Gurley. Yes.
this is John Mateen. It was my understanding that we were continuing Slanu-Canna LLC for this meeting. Those representatives, they are on the line. Are we going to address that, or are we going to continue on and put them onto another meeting?
That was in the case review?
Yes, it was in case review. SPR 21-950.
Following
Okay.
site plan review from last meeting. Hello, I'm Craig Aronoff. I'm the attorney that represents Slanu-Canna. We're hoping that we can get our site plan review. We're waiting on permits. We're ready to move on this project, and it's causing economic, issues for us.
That will come before us on August 24th. And are you currently in a discussion with the zoning administrator, the assessor's office, and the city attorney?
That was raised, but it was expected that when we'd be presented at this hearing, that they would present whatever evidence would be, establishing this the owner of the building's attorney filed a letter with you explaining how, nearly a year and a half ago when they bought the building that it was approved for this use and it wasn't raised then. So there's been a lot of reliance upon all of the previous approvals that got to here, including your use approval for the special exception meeting that we were at a few months ago, where this issue of the Salvation Army not being a house of worship under the assessor's office wasn't ever raised. There's been a lot of money spent in reliance on that. Why isn't it decided already? It should be a quick answer from the last meeting till now, so we're not frozen in time. Now we got to go all the way to the 24th.
Okay, to you and the other person on the line, I don't think there's a quick answer. And that's why we said that we put it off until August 24th, so that we can have all information that we need at this time as a commission before we render any decisions, and it will go back as a public hearing. So
I was
yes,
expected that was
letter.
weird. Okay,
Sir,
sorry.
I'm in receipt of the letter, and I've read the letter, and that's one of the reasons, and I want to give everybody ample opportunity, and the city attorney's office and the assessor's office say they need more time, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, it wasn't known to us. We were expecting that we were getting the review tonight, that it was put over till tonight. So it was until you said that at this meeting, we had no idea we're planning on punting it to the 24th. Again, we got to, each week that goes by is suffering more harm to us that we're not able to proceed. So we're just trying to understand why this is delayed even further. They've not reached out to us. They've made no effort. There's been no response to the letter that was sent to the Planning Commission and the city. From the owner of the building's attorney who, previously got this quote unquote green zoned and then marketed as green zoned and then allowed us to sign leases as green zoned. And here we are. So I'm disappointed there's been no progress. I guess we'll have to wait till the 24th, but I'd like to see them either follow up with us, answer the letter, or somehow acknowledge where the issue is, because it's not assessed as it. They've never paid taxes as a house of worship. I don't know how that can be unilaterally switched. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on. Next item on our agenda is the status of marijuana related revenue. And that's by Mrs. Wilcott, Director of Planning and Zoning Development. Is Suzanne on the line?
No, she's on the city council meeting to address the 448 South Saginaw.
Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill Vandercook.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah. Do you mind just for a minute if we put that on hold and we go back to the report for the permanent marijuana ordinance with Joanne, and I do a follow-up? There was a memo set out to the Planning Commission regarding the permanent marijuana ordinance that was approved on February 8th. And then section U123 of the City of Flint zoning code for community benefits, location exemptions. And Commissioner Jordan and Casey and I worked to create this draft for the commissioners to review. And give back feedback.
On the permanent marijuana ordinance, that's the draft that y'all have about the U1 through 3 for the City of Flint zoning code 5183 community benefit location exemption.
That's correct. So yeah, so that has to do with the social equity, the blight, and the parks plan. And this was intended to create, a checklist and items that are required. It appears when it got sent through, there were boxes that were put in here to check off, but the boxes, I don't believe that you're going to see boxes on the document that come through, because when I printed it out, for some reason, the boxes didn't come through on mine. So check boxes next to the items that need to be completed. for each item.
Bill, I have check boxes on the social economic program exemption requirements. I got a check box by an applicant, an individual, all of the members of a partnership or other corporate entities applicants is a resident of the city of Flint. And it got a check box by that.
Okay, so yeah, there should be check boxes by, 4 or 5 things on.
Oh,
on
I don't
there.
see.
So by,
I don't see check boxes by when it goes down to negative or secondary effects. Can include the following impact, and then it goes over and tells what that is: noise, excessive number of persons gathering outside. It don't have a checkbox; it just have Roman numerals by them.
Yeah, we won't have check boxes on all of those things. So there are things that the commissioner needs to consider with like the negative and secondary in effects. So,
So you would like the commissioners who have gotten this information in the mail to make comments on it? Do they, as to, is that what we're asking for right now?
yes, and Elizabeth, I'm sorry, Commissioner Jordan may be able to elaborate on that. She did make a comment about the community benefits portion of the ordinance had some words that will probably have to be considered for amending. And she may want to elaborate.
Yeah, so this is Commissioner Jordan. If it's okay, I think, that there were a couple things that it might be helpful to have any comments or input that folks wish to provide tonight. One is of a general nature in terms of staff have been asked to put together kind of a summary document that would show what are the requirements for each of the 3 types of community benefit exemptions, and to have it in one concise, clear package for our reference. And so I think one question is whether this provides the kind of information that commissioners find helpful and that might accompany future applications for community benefit exemptions. That's question 1. The second question, you'll notice that there's some parts of the document that still have kind of the red underline and insertion, kind of the editing text. And those areas are left red because those were my efforts to try to make what is parts of the ordinance that are not correctly worded, that there's, somehow there were typos or words left out that in my opinion made it harder to understand what the ordinance was actually saying. So staff had put together a version that was quite literally cutting and pasting from the ordinance. Here's what it says in its imperfect form, because they wanted to really honor the integrity of what the letter of the law is. And so what you see in red is my efforts to try to make sense of what the letter of the law says, but wanting to make that very clear to the group so that we have a chance to say either yes, let's try to have an edited version that communicates clearly what we meant it to say, or are people more comfortable leaving it as what the letter of the law actually says, knowing as Attorney Gurley mentioned earlier that there are some of those areas where there were typos and they're going to have to be cleaned up.
Okay. I guess my question to the commissioners, in your review of this, do you understand what Commissioner Jordan is saying and the zoning administrator is saying in this article? I guess I printed mine out on bigger print because that micro print that I had, I wasn't seeing it, and mine came out to be, several pages, a book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mine came out to be about 8 pages. Commissioners have any response or feedback that they'd like to share at this time?
This is Commissioner Jewell. I got a hand-delivered item, which was only a partial. And then what I attempted to look at on what was sent to me on email was only partial. And I haven't been able to figure out the difference between what Bill has been sharing and what Commissioner Jordan has been sharing. So from my perspective, I'm confused with the stuff that was sent to me.
I support that.
Go ahead.
I support that as well. I'm not quite sure. I'm not clear.
So this is Commissioner Jordan, and I have to say, I don't think I received the same email that everybody did. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure what you had. I don't know if it would be useful at this stage or not. I could offer to share my screen with what had been intended to share with you. And I don't know if there was I don't know if something got lost in translation or.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Jordan, this is Commissioner Jewell. I don't see a difficulty with putting stuff on the screen. The only difficulty is, and it may only be me, and I accept full responsibility for it. We're visually looking at something that goes back and forth and so forth versus something that we can hold in our hands, see exactly what the intent is and so forth. And it appears that, at least from my perspective, the information, as I shared earlier, that was sent to me email, and then when it was dropped off to me, is only 4 pages long. And from my perspective, it appears that Bill may need to go back and reorganize the information. And if there's information, Commissioner Jordan, that you have that addresses the concerns of intent, I think that needs to be also presented to us. And it may have already presented to us, but from my perspective, I don't have it. And it sounds like—
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Cook-Hawkins. Are we referring to the packet I got? Because my packet actually has Commissioner Blower on it. So I don't know the information that you guys are talking about.
Who's speaking now?
This is Commissioner Cook-Hawkins.
Okay, Commissioner, I can barely hear you. If you could turn your volume up a little bit, I would appreciate it.
Is that better?
Okay, go ahead.
I was saying the packet I got has Commissioner Blower on it, so I don't, and it's only like a couple sheets in here, so I don't think I have what you guys are referring to.
Okay.
Commissioner Wester, this is Bill Vandercook, if you don't mind. There was only 4 sheets that were sent out. One was the memo. And then there was the 3 pages of community benefit location exemptions. The first page would have social equity programs. The second page would be blight elimination plan requirements. It should have said number 2 because social equity has number 1. Blight elimination should say number 2 on page 2. On page 3, it should say number 3, park beautification plan exemption. All of the commissioners should have received 4 copies combined, and all of the commissioners were sent out the same email with the same information, which should have been 4 sheets of paper.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Campbell, I
Yes.
could not receive any of those things you guys are talking about. I'm on my computer now looking at a letter that's 8 pages. Other than that, I didn't even know that I should have went to my computer to pull something off because, like Commissioner Cook-Hawkins, I received Elizabeth's packet. It said Elizabeth Jordan on my packet. So I don't know if there's certain things sent to certain commissioners, but I didn't receive any of those things that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, and this is Commissioner Jordan, I got your packet too, so I consider that a promotion. So I got to pretend to be you for a moment. And this was not in any of this was not sent out with a physical, with a physical packet. It would have, I think, been emailed, and I don't know if my email, I didn't receive it, so I don't know if my email just might not have been typed in, but
okay.
anyhow. I would be happy to share my screen if it's helpful, not to get everybody's input right here, but just so that we're all clear on what it is we're looking for some sort of feedback to. If that's helpful, I'm happy to share.
Okay. Before you do that, Elizabeth, I think, you know, what you were saying is to maybe have a paragraph explaining what this is, what section U 1 to 3 of the city's Flint zoning code 50-183 is, just, you know, and then go to the social equity plan, those check marks, but just that paragraph explaining what the commissioner should be looking at would be helpful. Instead of going through those 4 or 5 pages, just check marks. Yeah, see, that's what came out.
This is the memo that staff had prepared.
Right.
And this is the version that I sent to staff. So you may have received one that had the from and the date filled out, but this is the version that I had provided comments on to staff. And so it basically outlines the history of how this marijuana ordinance was approved.
Right.
That there, and then it outlines that there's 3 different types of community benefit exemptions: the social equity program, the blight elimination plan, and the park beautification plan. And that the next document that I'll show in just a second is kind of the checklist that shows the requirements for each type of community benefit exemption. So this was the memo intending to tee it up. I'll stop sharing that window and I'll share the next one. This again is the version that that staff and I had connected on. And so it's related to the section U.
Right.
Again, the first page is the social equity. You can see the check boxes. There's 4 required components as part of the social equity program exemption. Where I mentioned that there was about the language that's currently in the ordinance. So in my version, I had proposed striking out demonstrably, since it already says demonstrate, just to improve readability, but wanted to put that out there for commissioners to decide. Similarly, on the next part, which is the blight elimination plan, there were some words that appeared to be missing from the actual text of the ordinance. I attempted to make sense of that, but you know, you're welcome to weigh in on whether you think that's helpful or not helpful. And then the third and final page of that is regarding park beautification plan. And again, there seemed to be a clause that was perhaps missing from the ordinance, and so wanted to at least attempt to make that coherent. And that's the extent of what was intended to be provided.
Okay. Yeah, because I made my print bigger, but that's the same thing that I have too. It's just spread over 8 pages because I made my print a lot bigger so I could see it. Okay. I see Commissioner Campbell says she didn't get anything, and Commissioner Cook Hawkins said that she didn't, and Commissioner Sorensen said she's just confused.
Well, I didn't receive it. I was confused because of the fact that I thought that I was supposed to have something that I don't have, so.
Oh, you don't have it?
No, I'm
You
not
didn't have that at
just
all?
confused. I'm not just confused. There's missing information and confused.
Okay, did you get, did you see what Commissioner Jordan shared screen was showing?
Yes, I did see that.
Did you get
and
that?
No.
You didn't get that at all?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Just a minute, Commissioner Jewell.
I'll
Commissioner
hold.
Hawkins, did you see Commissioner Jordan's screen share?
No, sir, I didn't see it. I'm actually calling in, so I'm not.
Oh,
I
she's
can't
calling
see it.
in. Okay. All right. Commissioner Jewell.
It appears that we're all looking at different pieces of similar information. I know Bill and I had conversation regarding this particular item of putting together information regarding the community benefits plan, as well as separate checklists to be used for blight elimination, park, and micro businesses. That was the intent, which to my understanding was your intent, Mr. Chair, in regards to informing and educating us to make sure we're on path. It appears that from the information that Commissioner Jordan provided, in an attempt to address intent, there has now evolved to different perceptions. To me, it makes sense to go back to the drawing board and revisit to make sure we're all looking at the same information. So I would encourage that we put this back on the agenda to be re-reviewed and maybe put it under a separate section under reports.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Okay.
Commissioner Jordan was referring to her in the screen share, her comments in red. The document I'm looking at, have those comments already been incorporated into that document? Because I'm not seeing any sort of changes to the piece I'm looking at, or any comments from Commissioner Jordan. Do you know that, Elizabeth? Do you know if
those things should still be in there. If you're viewing it, I use track changes. So depending on if you're looking at the version that has markup or no markup, that might either make it visible or not visible to you, but it's in there using track changes.
I had tried, and I'm still not seeing any changes. I did not receive a physical copy as well. I'm looking at the emailed version. But the intention behind it with the check marks, I am completely in support of. I think this will be coming before us more and more. And I think the idea behind making that section of the ordinance a little more user-friendly on our behalf is a good thing.
Yeah,
Still a little confused on Commissioner Jordan's comments.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't receive the email as part of the group version, so I only have the version that I sent initially. So I can't unfortunately see what you're seeing exactly, but it sounds like we need to have a do-over in terms of making sure everybody gets the same version. I would recommend maybe even just doing it as a PDF so that takes out some of the uncertainty or variability in terms of the format that people might be viewing it.
Okay, I just want to sort of make it clear, those commissioners who at the hand deliver the information, make sure they get everything in writing and probably so that everybody will have everything and everyone will be on the same page. Okay, is there?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, before you move on, I'm on my computer. And so if you're going to go onto your computer, there's two different emails that were sent. Both of them was on the 9th. So one is 8 pages and the other one is the one that Commissioner Jordan was talking about. Hers is in there. And then also the other one is an 8-page from an attorney. So I'm not clear as to why we would have something from 8 pages from an attorney I don't know if something was brought together by mistake.
No, that's, was that Attorney Jonathan?
Let me go back to
Edie?
him. Hold a second, let me go back to him.
I'm assuming that this is Commissioner Jewell, that the attorney email is the copy of the letter that was
Yes.
sent out on August the 6th regarding Saluna.
Right,
That's what-
that's it.
Okay, yeah, that,
This is pages.
right, that's.
And I never
that's-
received that attorney email, so if that could be forwarded to me, that would be helpful as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that, Commissioner Campbell, that was the discussion I had with the attorney earlier tonight concerning the Salvation Army piece. That was,
Okay,
yeah, that's what that was. So that you need to hold on to and read it and review it. That will be coming back before us on August 24th. That information and that discussion.
okay, and this is all regarding SPR 21-950? That's the question.
That for the attorney, yes.
The attorney, yes, but the other one is for the status of the permanent marijuana ordinance?
Marijuana ordinance.
Okay, so are those two different things?
Two different things.
All right, I just want to make sure,
Commissioner-
thank you.
Commissioner Wesley, Bill Vandercook. I'd just like to clear something up, if you don't mind.
Go
The
ahead.
community benefits piece was not sent out with the packages to any of the commissioners on Friday. And the piece was emailed out on Monday. The piece wasn't ready Friday, and so it was emailed out on Monday. And the commissioners didn't get a follow-up call that they were emailed the community benefits piece, which should have taken place.
Okay.
And
But
thank
now
you, Bill.
you-
This is Commissioner Drew. I just, again, I think maybe there was a typo in my email address or something, and maybe others, I don't know. I looked at my email and I didn't receive anything. So if you wouldn't mind just forwarding whatever you sent there, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell.
I would recommend that we put under the report section on our agenda, status of community benefits plan information.
That will go for our status of community benefit plan.
And I guess I would recommend status of community benefits plan information and related checklists. The intent was to have a general piece of information regarding the intent and the effort of the ordinance regarding community benefits. And then secondly is to have 3 separate sheets or information sheets that would be in a checklist format that could be utilized in reviewing micro businesses, blight elimination plans, and park plans.
That'd be a separate checklist of micro businesses or just,
Yes, because if you think of it, people will be applicants will be approaching for either a micro business or a blight elimination or a park plan, at which point that separate checklist needs to then be developed to then be attached as part of the staff report. But it also makes sense for us as the commissioners to have a separate document that outlines the intent as well as the ordinance related to community benefits plans, as well as information related to those 3 areas,
okay.
as well as samples of the 3 checklists.
All right. Bill, did you get that information? And I'll give you a call tomorrow morning so I can clear my notes up on what Commissioner Jewell just just said.
Mhm.
Okay, but moving right along. I'm going to the status of the draft zoning ordinance and staffing update. And Suzanne is not on, as I understand it. So Bill, are you gonna take this, or Mr. Martine is gonna take this? Who's gonna take it?
I can, Commissioner Wesley.
You
This is Bill
will?
Vanderkirk. Yes.
Okay,
So I did talk to Suzanne Wilcox, and there's really no updates with the staffing. As far as the planner 3 with the city, there's applications that are in, and they're reviewing those, but they haven't actually hired somebody. As far as a planner 1, we did have a planner 1 that was going to start on the 16th. That individual has decided not to take the position. So we're going back to look at applications now that came in to the city, and Suzanne Wilcox and Human Resources are working to set up interviews with the applicants.
okay. Anyone have any questions concerning that you'd like to address with Mr. Vanico?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Joel. It's not necessarily to Bill, but just an open-ended question. If you go back over the several months and meetings regarding staff replacements, there seems to be a struggle or difficulty in regards to applicants interviewing, and then folks deciding whether they want to take the position or not, or take the position and then leave. So I just raise that as an open-ended question, probably for discussion at some point down the road. i.e., with the need for employment, why aren't there people clamoring to be a part of the process? And I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just posing that as an open-ended question.
Yeah, because my answer would have to be the same as nationwide employers or potential employees are addressing. You know, why people are not knocking their doors down, looking for jobs, since we have so many jobs out here available for them. So, you know, I don't know if that's something we're going to resolve, or maybe at a later date, but yes, we have it up for discussion. Next is the City of Flint Council public hearing status of the Planning Commissioner's recommendation for PC 20.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Joel, are we holding for Suzanne on the status of the draft zoning ordinance?
No, Suzanne is not.
She's at
a city council meeting right now. She won't be available for that.
So do we have a report on the draft zoning ordinance?
We could put it over on our next meeting. I don't know if they have a report on it or not at this time.
Okay, just for the record, as I've shared before in the past, I guess for me as the commissioner, I'm still waiting to hear where we're at with things.
Okay, we'll put that over, and I'm fairly sure I know what I think the same thing Suzanne has reported on in previous meetings, as when they be going back before council with the second part of the draft zoning ordinance. And I'm not sure, you know, when that will be. Maybe she can give us an update on that at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Next item is the City of Flint Council public hearing status of the Planning Commissioner's recommendation for PC 21-408 Schultz Acquisition LLC requests a rezoning from D4 to D5 at 448 South Saginaw Street, PID 41-18-107-019. This again is Suzanne. To the zone administrator, Mr. Vandercook, have all that information been sent over, or what's been sent over to the council for their preparation for that meeting?
So yes, Commissioner Wesley, all the information requested by the Planning Commission was sent over, the ordinance, a memo, documentation requested from Planning Commission. It was supposed to go to committee last week. Committee postponed it, until August the 18th. Hopefully it'll be sent to the first reading on August the 23rd. And then it says publish on August 26th. There would be a notice to go out to residents between August 25th and August 27th. And then a public hearing and the second reading and enactment would be held on September 13th, 2021. If it doesn't pass council, then there will not be a public hearing.
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
this is
Jewell.
Commissioner Jewell. I think the information that Bill just shared with us was in a memo that was sent out, that was with the packet that outlined that. Is that correct, Bill?
That's correct. Thank you, Commissioner Jewell.
Right.
And I understand that the packet of information that was sent to City Council was in our last information packet. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner Jewell.
I think they updated some stuff in there too.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Jewell here again. Several meetings ago, we talked about there was an email and also reference regarding this particular rezoning in which Cafe Passion was noted on a July 9th email, as well as some subsequent information. And at that point, I think I raised the question and the concern of clarifying that, because that information already exists with Cafe Passion. It may seem appropriate, Mr. Chair, that Attorney Gurley or the staff make some sort of statement that can be included in our minutes and record that Cafe Passion is incorrect and is in reference to my understanding of Phil Schultz acquisition.
Yes, we would like to correct the record for that. What my research has shown is that there was an inquiry about a compassion club, and part of the name of the compassion club was deleted so that it simply read passion. So that is an error that I would like corrected, and it did not have any reference to Mr. Schultz's proposal.
Okay. So that has been corrected. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Gurley.
You're welcome.
That's all for that one. Let's move on to I-475 committee update. Jonathan Mateen.
Yeah, so I have, this is John Mateen. I have just two quick points I want to make about the M21 steering committee. So at the previous update I made reference to a public meeting that was going to take place. That has been scheduled for August 18th at 6 p.m. It'll be a virtual presentation of the draft report. The link for the meeting and additional information will be shared in the coming days of this week. So we'll have more information on that regarding what's talked about at that meeting, at the Planning Commission meeting for August 24th. The second part of this update is just to provide some clarity about a question that was asked in regards to this committee. So this has nothing to do with the plans that were presented in a article that made reference to I-475 being filled in and turned into a boulevard. That's a separate thing that has nothing to do with the M21 steering committee. I was able to talk to city engineer Mark Adis about this, and he let me know that the plans for that boulevard, they are in a study phase. They're just trying to come up with different ways they could use I-475 in that specific area, but there are no hard set plans to turn it into a boulevard. Further, he let me know that if that ever were to be the case, it would be something that would take place 20 years from now. I asked him if there was any type of committee meeting around this, and he told me that if there was, he'd make sure to let me know so that I could be a part of it and report back to Planning Commission, what's being talked about. So as of now, that I-475 Boulevard plan is not necessarily planned, but just a study and an inquiry into what could possibly be.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Site plan review overview, Commissioner Jewell.
Yes. First off, has everybody done their studying? Have they reviewed the information regarding site plans, both in planning and zoning essentials, as well as the planning commissioner's toolkit? Because I'm sorry, we're not going to do quiz time, but I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
It is of importance to review that, because as we start to move forward and taking a look at what site plans are, and we've already discovered a number of them over the past several meetings of what we need to be sensitive to, particularly in regards to special required usages, especially in regards to adjoining endeavors, especially in regards to master plan and land use, and also in regards to corresponding, I'll use the term checklists of what's being met and what's not being met in regards to the site plan, as well as expectations that we as the commissioners have. So again, want to restate that. Bill and I are in the process of taking a look at the best way to put together a staff presentation on site plans. But again, as we have shared, go back again to essentials of planning and zoning and planning commission toolkit in those sections to become more familiar with that. And is it important to raise questions and concerns? Yes, because once we as the planning commission give approval to a site plan and we've just made a decision on it, those entities move forward on it. And one of the items that has always come to my attention is people will ask if the planning commission has any jurisdiction over new buildings going up. What do they look like? Are the outsides as well as the insides of the buildings being looked at? Are the grounds being looked at and so forth? Does it blend in with the surrounding areas and so forth? So again, just additional pieces of information and insight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jewell.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, to Commissioner Jewell. I have this information from, I guess, when I first started the commission with those particular books. But wasn't there something put together, I don't know how many, when we were doing the master plan, part of that was part of the master plan. It seems like I remember something like that, but there was a checklist that we had, that we used to use, and reading the information and then doing that checklist, but that stopped for some reason. I don't know why, but it may be something that you may be able to go back into the archives and find versus then making a new wheel.
And you're very correct.
Right.
And you're also correct in the sense that things have changed over a period of time. And so part of it regarding site plans is first off to make sure there's a sense of consistency and core, i.e. reviewing the information in those two booklets. Secondly, there are going to be different criteria for different sites. For example, a pole barn is going to have a different set of expectations in a site plan rather than, and I'll use the term, a new build, if that makes sense, as well as for special regulated use. So I think part of it is to take a look at what are things that have worked in the past, what are things that we need to focus on, and what are things that we need to move forward on. So again, yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
Just trying to save you some time.
Excellent point. Why reinvent?
Why reinvent the wheel? But also the new commissioners that have come in, I think would be easier because like tonight, it was like if I didn't have my computer open, I would have been lost. And so with the new commissioners that we have, if you can go back and find that information, I think it would really be helpful for them because we used to have off-site meetings. I don't know if you guys remember that downtown in certain places. And it was really interesting, but again, why reinvent something that's already there? It may save you guys some time. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Mr. Dean.
Okay, are there any resolutions? Savannah Cook.
No resolutions, Commissioner Wesley.
Thank you. Old business, the American Rescue Plan. Do you have any information there, Mr. Vandercook?
Commissioner Wesley, no update from Suzanne Wilcox. I know she said she still hadn't had her meeting yet.
We'll put that over to our next agenda.
Yeah,
to our next meeting.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Again, my commentary as in the past of there hasn't been a follow-up meeting. There's going to be meetings scheduled and so forth. If you go back and look in the minutes, we've been informed, and I'm not going to bring out the dates, but the minutes already shared, especially that we were going to be given a report on July 27th was the most recent. So again, I think there's a need for us to be clear, concise, and consistent on what's actually occurring. Because it's now has been since May the 11th, when our first discussion occurred, particularly in light of the use of funds from the American Rescue Plan, as well as the role of the master plan, the capital improvement plan, etc. So just sharing that for the record.
Yeah, I don't know what control, if any, that Ms. Wilcox will have of that. I think that goes from council on down through this administration as to how those funds are going to be used. So I think until she gets some concrete information that she doesn't have at this time or since our last meeting, we continue to keep it on the agenda and see where it goes.
Right. And Mr. Chair, I understand that. I just want to make sure that if the questions are ever asked,
if your constituents ask you the question, say we're still waiting on the administration and the council,
and that's
how we going to utilize these funds.
And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm sharing with folks, that the questions are continually being raised.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, I have something just to
Commissioner
update
Jordan.
just on that point. So I received an email today from my city council person informing me of a ward conversation that the mayor is having that's going to be this Thursday, so 2 days from now, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Insight Institute for Neurosurgery, Neuroscience. And they indicated in the email that this is geared towards 9th Ward residents, but the implication being that there are other forums being planned in other wards as well. And the purpose of it is stated as, it says Mayor Neely is hosting a community conversation for 9th Ward residents. This will be a time to let your preferences be known on the federal COVID relief dollars that have been accepted by the city. So I understand that Suzanne Wilcox is not here tonight to be able to provide any additional information, but given that this has been on our agenda for several months, it's been noted. It does appear that there are some initiatives within the city to gather community input on that point. Again, there may be other forums in other parts of the city, but I pass it along as public information here because commissioners have indicated it's of interest.
Thank you, Commissioner George.
Chairman. Mr.
this
Chair, may I say
Uh,
something? This is Commissioner Cook Hawkins.
Okay, Commissioner Cook Hawkins.
In regards to the event that's scheduled that.
I don't know what you just said, Commissioner Cook Hawkins. I can't hear you.
I don't know why my phone is so low. Can you hear me now?
Faintly.
I can.
You can?
Okay. Okay, go
In
ahead.
regards to the event that the mayor is hosting, I'm actually the event coordinator for those events. And if there's any information that I can assist with getting out to the community, I'll be happy to do it.
I think any information that you can collect and bring it back to our next meeting would be great. Concerning, how these funds are going to be used, the recommendations on how these funds can be used would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr.
Attorney Gurley,
Mr. Chair,
I
Mr.
thought
Chair, I'm
Attorney
sorry.
Gurley was trying to say something.
I was.
Go ahead,
Thank
Attorney
you.
Gurley.
Thank you very much, Chairman. What we were also wanting to get information out about is that we are still waiting for the permanent recommendations on how the money can actually be used from the Treasury Department. So that kind of plays into this as well. And it was supposed to be at the end of July. And so now we're still waiting on the final information on how the money can be used.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Campbell, would you want to say something?
I just want to make sure that I'm not confused sitting over here. The meeting that's Thursday, is that concerning the $94 million? Or is that just the 87,000 that was coming to us because of the marijuana?
So this is not related to marijuana. My understanding is it's the federal COVID dollars.
Yes, COVID
Sorry.
dollars.
It's the $94 million.
Right.
That was the amount, correct? I think that's what they said in the paper, rather. It was $94 million, and they were trying to decide what to do with that. Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
this is Commissioner Jewell. I appreciate the comments and input from others. I think my point was just made. It's being publicized. There are community events occurring. There's seeking for input and so forth. And since May of this year, we've made inquiries as the Planning Commission in regards to status and input. Just for the record.
Okay, and I think Attorney Gurley, as well as Commissioner Jordan, have shared some important information concerning they're trying to wait on getting some clarification from the federal departments on how this money can be used, but they got the feelers out there trying to solicit recommendations on how the money can be set forth, okay, in the American Rescue Plan. Anything else for that one? Moving on, new business. No new business. We got in here an hour and a half, 5:30, 6:30, hour and 35 minutes. You guys kept me under that limit, so I don't have to make that announcement. So the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. And I take credit for the short meeting.
I got that. I told you I missed you. Thanks everybody for being here. Commissioner Cook Hawkins, glad to hear from you. Commissioner Sorensen, always. Commissioner Jordan, thanks so much. And Commissioner Jewell, I got to get you on your get your questions, try to, how can I say this? Tailor them a little more.
You and I can, you and I can,
We'll discuss that in our many conversations that we're gonna have during the week anyhow.
all right.
All right, guys. You guys take
Thank you.
care. Have
Good
a good
night.
evening.
All right.
night.
Night now.
Good night.
Better.